Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 80 of Show Me How It's Done. I'm your host, Lauren Bonus, and I am a demonstrator in Canada. If you have any questions or you need anything, just let me know. I'm more than happy to help. So this is my weekly video where I pop on at noon and I show you a fun little tutorial, something that I have been playing with. And so today what I have for you is not one, but two cards that we're going to create at the same time. And they are a really fun diagonal fold. So there's a fun little belly band and they pop open like this. Or if you want, you can also create your projects to fold like this. It really doesn't matter. It's completely up to you. So you can have it folding up and to the side, or you can flip her around and fold down and across. Totally up to you, same measurements and same amount of fun. So the reason that we're making two of these at the same time is because we actually cut one piece of cardstock diagonally to make a card base. And so if you're cutting one piece of cardstock and you've got the other one, we might as well make two of these at once, and then you can actually mix and match your designer series paper as well. So before you get started, I will tell you you're going to need to run and grab your scoreboard, your paper trimmer, and some cardstock of your choice and a bundle to decorate. So those kind of things you can grab as you go along, but you do need those tools on hand to use. So the bundle that I chose to use today is Happiness Abounds. So this is a gorgeous stamp set found in the new 2022 to 2023 annual catalog. And it does come with a bunch of dies, which I've been playing with, so they are not nicely put away, because I've been cutting out flowers like crazy. This is one of the stamps that I'm using at my all-day retreat at the end of June. So if you're anywhere in Canada, you can participate in that event. You can go to my Facebook page, Lauren's Scrap Lot, or message me for more information. And you can find out how you can participate in person if you're in Edmonton, or you can receive a video tutorial of the projects and a mailed out set of all the projects and a stamp for anywhere else in Canada. So if you have questions about that, let me know, because we are going to play with this stamp set for a whole half of a day, which means tons and tons of project ideas. But I had to share one with you. So let's get going. I had the fun little poll up on my Facebook page today. I asked people to choose between Highland Heather and Melon Mambo, and they had no idea why they were choosing. But that is because I wanted to try a different card base on my live video here. On my samples, you can see I used yellow, so this is our Daffodil Delight cardstock, and I combined it with Night of Navy. But I thought there are so many other gorgeous colors hidden in that set, so I wanted to choose between these two. Now, Melon Mambo was my this choice, and Highland Heather was that. And Highland Heather won by just one vote the last time I checked. So maybe later in the week, I will do a set using the Melon Mambo, but for now, I'm going to show you how to use Highland Heather. So you will need, as I mentioned, your scoreboard. So grab that right away, and you're going to grab a full sheet of cardstock. So our cardstock measures 8.5 by 11, and you're going to need the whole thing, okay? So on the top here, you can see that this top measures 8.5. So halfway for that is 4 1/4. So you need to make a score mark all the way down your page at 4 1/4. We're basically just halving our papers with a score mark, so it gives us our fold lines before we cut. Otherwise, you have to kind of cut on a diagonal or score on a diagonal, and it's weird. So turn this around now. Your 11-inch side, we're scoring at 5.5. Okay, so here is your piece at the moment. You should have kind of 4 equal portions. You will need this scoreboard later, so keep it close by. I'm just going to put it up for you. And so your next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do a bunch of cutting. So let's start with our base here. So I'm using the Stampin' Up scoreboard, or sorry, paper trimmer, which has a scoring tool. This scoring tool is going to get in your way. So what you need to do is go down, 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 and there's a little notch, kind of, do you see this little opening here? That's so that you can pop new blades in and out, and that they don't pop in and out on you all the time. But you just need to kind of wiggle it a little bit, and they don't make it easy because they don't want it popping out on you. And take this out because it's going to be in your way. Okay, this cutting blade, oh pardon me, cutting blade is what you're going to need to use. So open this die up, and we're going to choose a diagonal cut. So I like to cut from the top right to the bottom left. You're welcome to cut the other way. You'll just need to make sure to cut your next papers in the same manner. So everything that you do, if you start in the top right to the bottom left, is going to be the same for all the different papers that you do here. So for the ease of it, maybe copy me. So top right hand corner, you're going to get that somewhere in this grooved line. It won't fit perfectly in the white area. And then just make sure that it's opposite end. I have this zoomed in so you can see detail, but it makes it hard for this part. Okay, so there you go. So both those tips are in a track somewhere. Now just keep in mind when you do your cutting, it will not cut everything perfectly because there's a couple little areas that cause your blade to bump because they're not in the cutting space. But do your best, cut as much as you can right now. And what you're left with is something that looks almost cut through and a little bit here and here that you need to cut yourself. So just grab a pair of scissors. It's the tiniest little piece. And you can just connect those spaces together with one little snip there. Oop. One little bit more. There we go. And one little snip here. Okay, so I haven't found maybe if you had one of the giant cutting tools, it would fit, but I'm pretty happy with only having to do 2 minuscule cuts. So this is what I mean. You have 2 card bases right now. There's no point throwing one away and deciding not to do a second at the same time. So we're going to do 2 cards at once. So for your supplies, let's get those going. You will need 4 pieces of Night of Navy cardstock. These are going to measure 4 inches by 5 1/4. 2 are for this project, 2 are for that one, if you're looking for reference. So 4 of those all together. You will need 2 pieces of basic white cardstock. These measure 3 3/4 by 5. 1 for each of those cards. And then we're going to grab 2 pieces of designer paper in different patterns. So whatever pattern you like is completely up to you. We're going to use half of each of the sheets for each card. Like this one, right? So these 2 used to be 1 full sheet, and those 2 used to be 1 full sheet. So we're going to cut them in half and mix and match. Both of these measure 3 3/4 by 5. And we'll cut those at the same time and put them with their card projects. And then the last thing that you do need to cut is a little belly band. So you need 2 of these. They're going to measure 1 inch by 11. And if you want to get them scored, I will remind you later what the measurements are, but you're scoring at 3 1/2 and 7 7/8. So I'll remind you of that later. And if you are wondering, I have all the measurements written out in the description on the video, so you can always go back and enjoy that after, if you're just kind of watching this to enjoy the tutorial. Sorry. Okay, let's get going. So I'm going to put some of these pieces to the side here. I'm going to do a little bit of assembly just to get some pieces out of the way. So I'm going to do my inside of the card, and that is 1 piece of Night of Navy and 1 piece of white for each card. So you will probably want to grab a bone folder, which I have conveniently forgotten over here, and fold up your cards just so you have the nice shape. So here we go. So we're going to fold that across and that down. And like I said earlier, it's completely up to you. You can fold this the opposite way too, and it will still work. That's the nice thing about making two of these at once, is you can just use the opposite pieces. So whatever you do though, make sure both of them are the same. Okay. So there we go. I have my two card bases. Now on the inside of this triangle is where I'm going to put those inner pieces. So the Night of Navy goes on first, and I'm using double-sided tape. You guys can feel free to use whatever adhesive you prefer. We have glue, we have seal. It's completely up to you. All right, so I chose Night of Navy because that was a very prominent color in some of the paper in this Hues of Happiness package. But of course, there are so many different colors hidden in there. I thought Granny Apple Green would be a nice base as well, because that's kind of the green on a lot of the leaves. And then you can pick out from there some of the flower colors for your card bases and the flowers on the front. But I definitely always tell myself, I'm like, you don't need more flowers. But then I see the flowers and I'm like, yeah, you do. This stamp set has gorgeous sentiments in it, which I'm going to actually stamp on the inside here. And it also has beautiful designer paper. And I'm going to show you a fun little trick with the paper in just a few minutes. Okay, so this is taking a little longer because we're doing two at once, but I promise you it will be well worth it because you'll feel so accomplished. You're getting twice the amount of stuff done in just the same amount of time as one of our usual videos. There we go. Okay, put that on the inside there. And there. Perfect. Okay, so I want to stamp something on the inside. So I'm going to use Night of Navy ink, and I'm just going to grab one of the sentiments from here. I think perhaps something that's really generic is like wishing you all the happiness you can imagine. You can use that for a wedding that's coming up this summer, birthday, promotion, even like anything, or you are wonderful in every way. So those two are very easy to use. I can just keep this in my stash and I don't need to worry about, you know, finding the right occasion for them. So let me just mount that up. This is a photopolymer, so it just goes nicely on one of my blocks. Stamp, stamp, stamp very gently, just because these are super inky. And there we go. So you are done with your ink. You can go ahead and put it away. You won't need it at all anymore. But now we're on to a little bit more decorating. So we need to cut some of our pieces. So let's put our bases aside and bring out your trimmer once again. Okay, so remember those pieces of navy that we had left over? We're gonna cut these. So because I cut my card base from the top right to bottom left, I'm going to cut the cardstock the exact same way. Okay, so this will fit nicely in this groove here. You can see both the top and the bottom are fitted in there. Slice those two in half and do the exact same thing to the other set. Now is a good time to double check. Once you've cut the cardstock, bring in one of your bases and just make sure that if I was to put this on my card, it would fit perfectly and be in the right orientation. because if it's not, you don't want to cut your designer paper yet, because this stuff can be flipped and maneuvered. The designer paper is a little sedentary and has to stay in place. Okay, but I'm good. I went from top right to bottom left. I'm going to do the exact same thing to my designer paper. So you can do these at the same time if you want, or if you're scared, just do it one at a time. Keep those 2 points in your little groove and cut down, and do it once again. So there's all of your cuts, and you are ready to start assembling. Okay, so let's imagine these bases are card number 1 and these bases are card number 2. Sometimes you have designer paper that is directional. So like these flowers, I probably wouldn't want them facing upside down. So I'd want them on the top of one of the projects, which means that their negative is also now going to be on the bottom of the other project. And then you can just play with the other set too. Even these flowers do look kind of directional. So I'd put this one on the top and that one on the bottom. Just look at what you're assembling before you start gluing. Otherwise, you're going to be a little sad if, you know, if something did have a directional pattern and it can only go one way. So that's okay. All right, I'm going to now do a lot of tape work, so hopefully this goes quickly for you. I just do little bits of tape. You don't need a ton. This is meant to just kind of attach these 2 pieces together, like so, and then go ahead and even have this ready to go with tape on the back. Next piece here. Sometimes it makes me sad to cover some of these pages because the back side of this is equally as exciting as the front. I love the rainbow. There we go. Turn that over. All right, there is set number 1 and set number 2. We can assemble. I also thought it would be really pretty to just stamp those flowers from the set onto this rainbow paper because there's lots of texture. And if you just used like a black, it would be very easy to make a really pretty flower. You don't have to do any watercoloring then. And last set. Okay. Well, that's a little far over. Oh well, it's still pretty. Okay, so got set number 1 and set number 2. Can bring in my card bases. It doesn't matter which order I do this in now, but we can start putting these onto the coordinating pieces. And I like to just kind of open my card up. So I've got the full triangle in my workspace. I find it makes it a lot easier to center this in the middle there. And then, you know, if you were off by a millimeter or something cutting, don't stress about it. It doesn't need to be absolutely perfect. As long as it fits in there, you're good. Right. There we go. And set number 2, because we'll just put that right on top. Pardon me. Oh, all that like pollen and stuff outside. I don't get bad allergies, but I do get that tickle while our neighbor's tree is, I just call it fluffing the whole season, but should be done soon. The flowers are coming. I feel very sorry for you if you do get full out seasonal allergies, because I whine and complain just about the tickle in my throat. And last one. Okay, so here are card number 1 and card number 2. We're going to work on our belly band next, because you want something to kind of keep your card from flailing open like this. Or I might have to run and get a cough candy. Anyways, so we need 2 of these pieces. They were 1 inch by 11, and we did score them at 3.5 and 7 7/8. So go ahead and fold. One. And 2. Okay, you guys do that. I'm gonna go grab a cough candy. Right back. Here, we'll just say I planned to give you a break to cut and score. Thanks. Okay, now we're going to attach these together. So it doesn't matter which side you do this on, but basically you're going to put some sort of adhesive on 2 of the ends. So if I have mine kind of opened to the right, I'm going to put it on this top of the flap and then on the flap that will close. So I haven't taken the backings off, but you can see this would bump into the top here, and then the top would also close. So you want it kind of touching in both places, just so that these little triangles don't get caught. And do the same thing on the other one. There we go. So these little belly bands, I thought they would be fun to kind of decorate. So what I cut out is one of our new stylish shapes. Ooh, excuse me, the largest one. So I embossed those with the brick and mortar embossing folder. And of course I made 2 of them. And we're just gonna put them right in the center of our belly bands. You can pop those up on dimensionals, or you can put them flat. Whatever you choose is totally fine. I like to put my dimensionals straight on the belly band here, because then I know that nothing is touching another part of my card. If I was to put them on the circles, sometimes that happens. So it's a really large circle. Go ahead and put a few dimensionals in there. And then this circle will cover that little area where your papers crossed over each other, and no one will be the wiser. So you can do that for both. There we go. So these guys can now go onto your card. I suggest putting them on via the side that has your fold. If you try and kind of put them on at the bottom here where the two triangles meet, you're just going to struggle a little bit. So wherever your creased line is at the top, this will be the easiest end for you to go ahead and put these onto. Whoops, I still kind of like to pop open. And the first time you do put it on, you'll have to kind of wiggle it down the card. Ooh, there we go. But it'll loosen up as you kind of play with it a bit. So I just like to put it roughly in the middle of the card. So there's card number 1 and card number 2. Now to decorate, you can either stamp a bunch of the flowers from this set. There's dies that coordinate with them, and you can color them in with your blends. You can do some watercoloring or anything you'd like. Or we have really, really beautiful paper that coordinates with this suite. So we've already used some of it for the front of the cards, but in each of the packages, there are 2 sheets of this theme and 2 sheets of this theme, and they coordinate with all of the dies in here. So when I said I was going crazy cutting, I really was going crazy cutting. So you take them, you find the pieces that coordinate. You will have to trim this down, of course, to go into your cut and emboss machine, but that's fine. Look, you've got all of these different dies that coordinate here. There's even one more somewhere. This flower here. So all of these dies coordinate with your paper. If you were to sit down and cut them all out, you can make a whole bucket full of flowers and pieces that you can use on all your projects. So I've been really busy because we're using a ton of these on the projects at my all-day retreat. So this is 2 packages worth, so 8 pieces of paper, but there is a lot of flowers in here. This is going to be more than enough for me to do my kits with. And then I still have some extras from packages that I haven't used yet. Okay, so it's a lot of potential. You can get a lot of flowers out of these papers, and the only thing that you're left with that you're not really cutting is these little clusters of flowers. So if you want any of them, you can cut them with your scissors. And the teeny tiny leaves, there's about 3 of these small sets on the page. You can cut those out via fussy cutting as well. But everything else has a die, which is so great. So I have done that for my projects. I just grabbed a bunch of different ones. So I wanted 2 large ones for my card, and then 2 small, and then some leaves. So whatever you want to use is totally up to you. Okay, so let's decorate here. Still need to cough. Okay, dimensionals are going to be beautiful on this. So let's put our biggest one up here on dimensionals. For both of the cards. And then because I don't like lopsided flowers, I don't put the next dimensionals on the flowers themselves. I just put them onto the circle because sorry guys. Because I'm putting the next flower overlapping this one. Just like that. Okay. So don't need dimensionals on the edge here. It would end up looking kind of lopsided and weird. And then I wanted a little flower. Once again, I don't want it lopsided, so I'm just putting a dimensional in there. I like to just use some of the edge pieces here and get myself like a nice fat piece for my flower to sit on. Then I don't have to use multiple dimensionals, or you can use a large dimensional too. There we go. And then your little leaves, they were cut from the paper. The easiest thing to put them on with is a glue dot. Just grab a little glue dot and then tuck this guy into the back. And this one can go at the bottom. There we go. And then if you wanted to get super fancy and add some bling, there are some gems that coordinate with the color scheme in here. So you can always add some of these glossy dots. But I really did think that all the colors in here are beautiful. If you had any gold embellishments too, that would probably be really stunning and really make your project kind of come to life. So there we go. There's our two that we made with the Highland Heather background, which is gorgeous. And then here's the two that I had done with the Daffodil Delight. And then maybe I'll do Melon Mambo sometime as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed that project. Oh, I wanted to show you, if you maybe wanted to do something a little different, maybe you didn't have this set and you wanted to do something masculine, the He's All That set, I did this card here. So I did this at my Make It Manly class this month for the ladies because we needed to stock up on some masculine cards. And I didn't end up stamping anything inside. I figured people can kind of make this Father's Day, birthday, whatever they wanted. But it uses just a nice masculine set of colors. The He's All That paper, as well as the dies and stamps from the He's All That bundle. So there you go. There's a bonus project idea for you. Use the exact same measurements, but of course you'll substitute in the Sahara Sand base and black for your cardstock back. There you go. So yes, thank you so much for watching. I am so sorry about the coughing, and thanks for putting up with me. I hope that you enjoyed today's video and that you will join me next Tuesday for another fun project. Talk to you guys later. Bye.